So tell us a bit about this award. I don't know
The
much about
Holberg.
it.
Well, it's until I had really looked into it, I knew the name of Holberg primarily through the famous suite by Grieg called the Holberg Suite,
Oh, okay.
written at the time of Holberg. The prize itself was founded in 2003 by the government of Norway as a prize in the social sciences, a sort of lifetime achievement or significant achievement, I forget their words, in the humanities, social sciences, law, and theology. And the first one was given only in 2004. So there have been 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm the seventh. And it has been varied. The first one was a literary critic, a French woman literary critic. She's psychoanalytic, feminist. And then there was Jürgen Habermas, the great social and political philosopher, Shmuel Eisenstadt, the sociologist. I know quite a few of these people I know. The jurist and juridical thinker Dworkin, the literary critic, the Marxist literary critic, and Fred Jameson, and wonderful Ian Hacking, the great philosopher last year, and then myself, the first historian. So those are the people. Who was Holberg? That's what I asked myself when I got there. I rushed, being me, I rushed to the library. And he was a 18th century polymath. See, at first I thought, well, see, Grieg had written about it, so I know he couldn't be the man who actually founded it. He could still be alive. It's not like, I think Nobel founded it. His name is Nobel.
Right.
But he lived in the 18th century. He was born in Bergen, in Norway, at the time when Norway and Denmark were part of the same kingdom. So Norwegian and Danish were essentially the same language. And he was a polymath. He wrote on many things, but in fact, he thought of himself first and foremost as a historian, which is kind of nice for me. He wrote a history of Norway and Denmark, of the kingdom. He wrote a history of the church, of Christianity, and he wrote a history of the Jews, which I'm in the middle of reading.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's not just, they've got to convert. It's a very interesting book. So he did history. He also wrote for the theater, which was delightful for me because, I've worked on a film, and I'm also now campusing a little bit on a play that's being written inspired by my last book. And he wrote 30 comedies for the Danish, well, as I say, Norway and Danish, for the stage. He wrote a science fiction book, which I have upstairs.
Oh, I believe your husband wrote a science fiction book, too.
It's a very different kind of science fiction.
I'd imagine.
His is a kind of utopia, imagining a utopia, using science fiction it's called Journey to the Center of the Earth. And
not the one that has been made into movies. No. This is.
But it's not so technologically, or it's not. It's more
fantasy.
Yeah, it's more fantasy, but it's very interested in social criticism because all the societies he imagines, either he likes something about them in a utopian way, or he's using them to satirize. He wrote, and he was a very interesting man. So they chose it because they wanted people who, partly because he worked in many of these fields himself, and he was interested in them. And I think that the people that they've selected have been people who were somewhat broad in their interests. Each one of us we have, the excellent work can be done in a very focused way, but I think they've tried to choose people with somewhat broad interests.
Right, generalists of sort.
Yes.
Or certainly.
No, I'd say with broad. I would rather say broad interest because, generalist sort of sounds as though you don't have a concentration.
Fair.
And each of us, I think, have had a very serious concentration. I certainly have.
But open to multidisciplinary approach.
I think so. Yeah. Not. Yeah. I would say.
Okay. So this award, have you received it, or are you going to go there?
In June.
In June, and you'll go to Norway.
Yeah.
Wow.
To Bergen. Yeah.
That's terrific, and certainly congratulations.
Thank you.